carbon dioxide removal is necessary to keep up this 1.5 Celsius or even 2 Celsius degrees goal. Of course, right? Our company alone will not make it. And enhanced rock weathering, it's not the only it's not the only carbon dioxide removal method out there. There are many more, and still new methods.
Hello everyone, my name is Agata Walendowska and here we are in Startup Stories where we talk about startups and what make them work. Today my special guest is Adam Podgórny, COO of Green Sequest startup which develop a cheap and scalable solution for accelerating the mineralization process of Antigorite serpentinite. Here, so how are you, Adrian, today?
I'm fine. I'm having a small flu, but I think it's going to be okay.
That's great. Thank you for being here, even with the flu. So I think that I can start with the first question. What does Green Sequest startup do?
Well, basically, we remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere using a process called enhanced rock weathering with a rock called serpentinite antigorite or antigorite serpentinite. And enhanced rock weathering is basically a natural process. And in this process, CO2 that is present in the atmosphere, it reacts with water, with rainwater, for example. Then it becomes a kind of a weak carbon acid, and this weak carbon acid reacts with magnesium that is very high in the serpentinite, and through chemical reactions, it stays locked in this rock in serpentinite. So basically, this is a natural process, which in geological scale takes millions of years. And our job is to accelerate the process. And this is why the process is called enhanced weathering. So we are enhancing the weathering with it's well, it sounds simple, but when you get into the details, it gets very complicated. But basically, we crush the rock, we mill it to very fine particles, and we spread it on the large areas of land. And this is how we can speed up this process. So yeah, in few sentences, this is how it works. And of course, it's a lot of work, R&D work to see how can we grind it effectively, which size of particles are working in a best way to capture the CO2, and of course many details. And this is our main work to figure it out. Yeah.
Okay, so how fast you can speed up the process of reducing CO2 from the atmosphere thanks to this specific rock?
Yes, well, so according to our research, 1 ton of serpentinite can capture and store up to 500 kilos of CO2. But it takes time, and we estimate that it takes 10 to 12 years that 1 ton of serpentinite can capture this 500 kilos of CO2. So it takes up to 12 years. This is our estimations. But of course, we need more data. We need more research. We need more experiments on that.
Okay, and is there any other research connected with this topic on the internet or in the books that you can compare your data, or you are the first in that field and you create that?
No, actually, well, it's for serpentinite, we are actually the first team that did so much work on that. But there are other rocks that can be used for this enhanced rock weathering, and there are companies in UK, in United States, in Germany that are working with other types of rocks like olivine, which is it's a you can say it's a close cousin to serpentinite, olivine, and there are companies using basalt and volastonite, and these are, well, mainly the four types of rocks that are that can be used for the weathering, for the process. And most companies are using basalt, and basalt is rich in calcium, and calcium is one of the two elements, main elements responsible for capturing CO2. The other one is magnesium. Serpentinite, we have a very high level of magnesium. So of course we are reading all the papers. Yes, we are looking at the other companies, and and of course we are exchanging some information with the other companies. But for serpentinite, yeah, we are actually the only team actually at this level of advancement in the research process.
Okay, so why did you decide to choose the serpentinite and not, for example, the other rock? What was your choice? Why you choose this one?
Yeah, well, Green Sequest is a spin out or a spin off company, and the parent company is a company operating in the mining industry, and the company is extracting. The company owns the serpentinite quarry in Poland, and it extracts this rock. And so we've been, for the last couple of years, we've been aware of the fact that serpentinite can be used as a carbon dioxide sink. There was some research a couple of years ago that were analyzing the potential of serpentinite as a CO2 sink in carbon capture and storage processes. Carbon capture and storage is a close process to carbon dioxide removal, but in general, all those carbon capture and storage methods, well, basically you capture the CO2 from the plant, from the industrial plant, and then you transport it and you inject it to geological formations. So you don't have to extract the rock, you just inject it. And there are a couple of projects right now in Poland. Orlen is developing this kind of project, and Lafarge, I think, yeah, that's Lafarge, who are developing those kind of methods. So basically, they are capturing the CO2 from their plants, and they are injecting the CO2 into the geological formations. But a couple of years ago, we did some initial, sort of techno-economical analysis, and it turned out, in our scenario, it doesn't make much sense to do this kind of processes. But then, like 2 years ago, the enhanced rock weathering companies, first enhanced rock weathering companies in United States, they emerged, and they so they didn't develop the solutions, because the solution was there in academic papers from like 10-15 years from now, but they started to actually try to do it in a real world, in real life environment. And we decided to go this path, because it was much more feasible for us, both in terms of numbers, so we could remove much more CO2 than inject into geological formations, and also in the economical way, it was more feasible for us. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So how did you came up with your idea? Because in startups are very often connected with software, hardware, with
Mhm.
application, with website, with more development in IT sector. And how did you came up with your startup, which is more ecological and connected with geology?
Yeah. So first of all, we had a knowledge about serpentinite. We had and we have a lot of research done on mineralogy, petrography, etc., etc. So we know a lot about the rock because of the parent company that we've been involved with, right? And then, as I said before, we figure out that this rock serpentinite can be used for those kind of operations. So we have to figure out the way we can do it in the most efficient way. And enhanced rock weathering, like I said, 2 years ago, the first company started to develop their projects, and so we decided, yeah, there is an opportunity. There is a more financial opportunities. More and more companies and governments were interested in developing those kind of experimental methods, and we decided, okay, we have to do something with it, because this rock is it can be used for for something else than just typical road constructions, etc. It can be used to actually remove CO2 from the atmosphere, which yeah, which is something that has to be done. And according to IPCC, this international climate panel, carbon dioxide removal is necessary to keep up this 1.5 Celsius or even 2 Celsius degrees goal, right? Carbon dioxide removal, well, first of all, reduction emissions and avoiding emissions is the most important thing. It's crucial. Without it, we cannot even, considering, stopping climate change. But there are a couple of scenarios by IPCC scientists, and all these scenarios, uh, they say that you have to do a certain amount of CO2 removal from the atmosphere, meaning CO2 that already had been emitted, and it's there in the atmosphere, and you have to remove it. We have to remove it from the atmosphere to meet this 2 Celsius degree goal. Yeah. So this is why we decided that we want to start the new company. And of course, starting up the new company, it's also the way to to focus solely on this topic. Yeah, and there were so many things need to be done. We decided to incorporate a new company.
Okay, and if we use a lot of ton of serpentinite, is that possible to reduce so much carbon dioxide to help environment
Mhm.
significantly that we see change, or it's not possible in that case?
Well, using only one deposit, using only one quarry is not enough. That's why we also want to work with more quarries, not only this one in Poland, but there are serpentinite quarries here in Central and Eastern Europe. And of course, our company alone will not make it. And enhanced rock weathering, it's not the only it's not the only carbon dioxide removal method out there. There are many more, and still new methods are being developed. But there is a necessity for that kind of operations. And of course, we alone, the Green Sequest, will not make it. But as one of the 100 companies in Europe, yes, we can together we can make it happen.
So your way, your idea is still new, and do you think it's gonna be more and more popular in ecology world and in taking care of our planet?
Yes, we hope so. We hope so. There are right now there are around 15 companies around the world working with enhanced rock weathering. There are around 100 companies in the world that are working in other carbon dioxide removal methods. Still, many of them are in early stage. Still, many of the companies like ours are doing a lot of R&D work these days. But soon, in like 5 years, all those companies, they will be removing megatons of CO2 every year. And by 2050, we hope that all those companies and projects will be removing, well, 2 gigatons, 3 gigatons of CO2 per year. So this is something still in a very early stage. Some of these technologies are very nascent, but in 5 year times, in 10 year times, in 15 years, well, the ultimate goal is to remove gigatons of CO2 from the atmosphere.
Okay, and do you think that big companies who produce a lot of CO2 can use your solution, use the rock and use them to reduce their carbon dioxide, or it will be more like for smaller companies and
Mhm.
not for the biggest one?
Uh, this is different. We are not actually reducing emissions for other companies, because these carbon capture and storage technologies. We are in a group of companies that is removing CO2 from the atmosphere. So the CO2 that already has been emitted, and so this is a bit different. Of course, we work with companies that are willing to integrate our technology into their processes, but it's very individual. It's a very individual thing, right? So. But this is not like we are, putting some kind of filter on a chimney, and it reduces the emissions. This is a different kind of solutions, but we are also slowly developing this kind of solution as well. So this avoidance or reduction solution. But at this moment we are focusing on removing from the atmosphere. So there is a number of companies that still have a lot of things to do within their value chains to reduce emissions. And I'm talking about, for example, agricultural companies, industrial, companies that are producing cement, for example, right? Still a lot of things to do. But there is a number of companies like software companies, insurances companies that are not emitting that much, yet they still have their net zero goals, net zero strategies, right? But they are not. I mean, it's difficult for them to reduce more because they do not emit that much, but still they want to keep up to be a net zero company. So they can support solutions like ours. They can buy carbon credits, in example, right? So we can scale up our operations, and we can help them achieve their net zero goals. So this is one of the ways we can help the companies to achieve their goals. But like I said, still many of industries, they still have a lot of to do. They can do a lot of things to reduce their emissions within their processes, within their value chains.
Okay, and is there many decks of serpentinite in the world, or the rock is in the smaller amount?
No, it's actually quite common, rock. In Europe, in North America, we are preparing an analysis, where are actually the deposits in Europe. And so next week probably we're gonna have that full analysis, that full document. But according to the knowledge that we have right now, there is around 20 mines operating. Plus, there are deposits that are not operating right now, but can be in operation in 2-3 years.
Okay, and I saw on your website that you said that serpentinite can also be used as a fertilizer
Yes.
yes. So what are the additional properties of that? Is this rock doesn't have any negative impact on the plants and the
Mhm.
crops?
No, it actually has a very positive impact on the plants. First of all, it can be used, and it has a certificate from the Ministry of Agriculture that it can be used as a fertilizer. Meaning, well, it's safe for plants itself. It is safe for soils, and there are a couple of properties that serpentinite can offer to the crops. First of all is the high level of magnesium, which is essential for a proper growth of the plants. Second thing is the high pH level of serpentinite is 9.5, and that works very well for soils that are acidic. And in Poland, it's a big thing. Around 40 to 50% of soils are acidic in Poland. So using serpentinite, we can deacidify the soils. The other thing is the water retention. Thanks to its microstructural properties, serpentinite can actually keep the water in this crucial top level of soils, so from 0 to 10 centimeters, it can keep the water. And in Poland, it's very important thing, especially when you look at western part of Poland, right? And many of the soils are very dry, and keeping the water is one of the crucial things for farmers to to keep them running, actually. So those are the main properties of serpentinite that are helping the farmers and helping crops and soils to be in a good shape, I can say, right?
Great. And is there any other file than agriculture where the
Mhm.
rock can be used?
Yes, of course. Well, like I mentioned in the beginning, uh, so our process in our process, we grind and we crush the serpentinite, right? So it's a very tiny particles. But then uh, you have to make the CO2 that is present in the air. You have to make it react with the rock. So you have to spread it on the large, areas of land. And of course, agriculture is the main way to make it happen, because we have thousands of hectares of land that are being used for agriculture.
So I think that for example, using the rock, the serpentinite, for the highway is, I
Mhm.
think, the easiest one, yes. And is that popular and common in other country or in Poland to use that solution, or you also working on developing that and just launching to the market and launching this idea, because we can in that way
Mhm.
like take care of ecology in very easy
Mhm.
way.
Yes, it's there are companies, for example, in Netherlands that are working on this kind of solution as well. We are still developing. We are still developing the solution. We are working with road construction companies. Soon we'll be launching uh, experimental an experimental field in this context. So probably in a year or two, we're gonna have a ready to market product connected with road construction industry.
So I hope so everything goes well and your product will be just fine and popular, because it's a really great way to improve our world health and improve ecology. So what is your next step in developing your startup? What are your plans for the future?
Yeah, so we are starting a pilot project actually this month in October. The pilot project with agricultural pilot project, right? So we're going to spread the serpentinite. We are going to measure how much it actually uh, reduces the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And of course, we are still trying to gather more information about more agricultural data. So how does it work with certain types of plants, right? Does it work good with oats, with corn, with potatoes, etc., etc.? So we can actually not only offer a solution that is reducing CO2, but also a solution that is helping farmers to to reduce their expenses on fertilizers and also to improve their crops.
Okay.
So this is So we are starting this experimental pilot project to see how it works in a real life environment, because we did our lab tests and now it's time to see how it works in real life.
And you feel more positive or more realistic about the results of the project? So how?
Very positive. Yes, we are very positive about it. And yeah, we have the lab tests that are very, very promising. So we want to see how it works, because for removing CO2, removing CO2 is one thing, but measuring and verification of the process is also an important part of the process. So we have developed our own measurement and verification methodology. We also want to fine tune it within when we start this pilot project, to see if our assumptions are correct, right? Because as I mentioned, we are talking about a process that takes 10 to 12 years, and we have some assumptions, and we need to check if the assumptions are correct. Yeah, so this is our main challenge right now.
Okay, so how long the test with agriculture field will take? It's also
One
be
year.
a 10 to 1 year?
No, no, no,
Okay.
no. It's a 1 year, because also we have developed a kind of a simulation. Well, not a software, but it is based on the different types of software. But we have developed our simulation model, and collecting 1 year data will provide us with a pretty correct simulation. So we will be able to tell, okay, so year one, this is how much CO2 we have removed. Year two, according to year one data, okay, this is how much we are going to remove in year two, in year three, etc., etc., etc.
So it's very interesting, and I hope that seriously everything goes well, because I hope that it will be a great change in the ecological attitude. So I also saw on your website that you collaborate, for example, with Google, with startups for
Yeah.
sustainable development. So how working with as big as Google partner look like? So how they help you and your startup?
Yeah, so Google Startups for Sustainable Development is a kind of a program or a platform for startups and companies that are working in a field of SDG goals, right? So our SDG goal is 13. It's a climate change, but there are also other social, in example, right, goals. So this is a platform that brings together that kind of companies from all around the world, and it's a series of one-on-one mentorship meetings, a series of trainings and courses that are helping the company to grow up, to achieve their goal. And we have started, we are a part of this program from, I think, September, early September, something like that. So it's only a beginning. And this program, it doesn't have any start and time frame. So we can be there and we can learn and we can share our experience and we can gather more and more experience from Google ecosystem, because it's not only Google mentors, they have a whole kind of ecosystem. dedicated to developing those kind of sustainable companies. And yeah, we are very happy about it. It's a big thing. Actually, the program, I think it started 3 years ago, and we are one of the two companies from Poland that are in this program. The other is EcoBean from Warsaw. So we are very happy to represent Poland in this program, and it's a very big thing for us. And in Google, actually, Google itself is one of the companies that are buying and that are supporting this kind of carbon dioxide removal processes, technologies, and companies. There is this fund called Frontier, and it was started by Shopify. And right now, Shopify, and there are other companies like Alphabet, which is Google, right? Like Meta, which is Facebook, like H&M, like McKinsey, like Stripe, and they have brought together a fund, $1 billion, and they will be, and the fund is to invest in a companies like ours. So so being a part of this Google startup programs, it's also a way of recognition of our methodology, of our startup, and it's a very important thing for us. Yeah.
Yes, that's great. And what are the biggest challenges in running such unique startup as yours?
Well, it's as it may sound simple, the whole solution. I mean, you take a rock, you crush it, you grind it, and then you spread it, right? And it may sound so simple, but it's a very detailed work. You have to think about a lot of different aspects. So you have to think about geology, you have to think about geochemistry, you have to think about extraction processes, you have to think about all kind of agricultural aspects. So you need to gather a knowledge, you need to gather an aspect from agriculture, from agricultural fields, right? Then, of course, you need to be up to date when it comes to Polish and European Union regulations, because there are some regulations that that frame you in some kind of context, right? Then, of course, it's a very new market, and you have to talk with your partners, and many of them, they didn't hear about this kind of carbon dioxide removal solutions, right? So you have to educate them. It's a lot of different aspects. You have to connect those dots, and sometimes it's a challenge to see all the dots, to see the big picture, because right now we are doing a lot of work in this agricultural aspect, and it's our focus these days, right? But then we cannot forget about the regulations, and many think about the policies are changing right now. So you have to be up to date on that to see how it affects your business, and how it affects the future of your solution, right? So I think the biggest challenge is to see the big picture and all those connections, all those relations between those dots, like mining industry, agricultural industry, policy, etc., etc.
Okay, so you mentioned that many people didn't hear about your solution, about your idea. So, what are the reaction about your solution to be more ecological?
Yeah, actually, it changes. It changes when we started, when there was no Green Sequest, because Green Sequest was incorporated only a year ago. But we were talking with many different people about this solution before that, and well, people were like 2 years ago, they were not so much interested in this kind of technology. But now, when we are talking with business partners, with academic partners, they well we see the difference. We see that people are more open to this kind of solution, and people are willing to cooperate with you. And this is something that is changing through, well, I don't want to say years, but even months. We can see that is different.
Okay, so that's great that the attitude of the people are changing and they want to be more aware of
Yes.
all the ecological aspects. So I think I have the last one question to you, and we ask this question to everyone in our
Okay.
podcast. So, do you have any advice for people who would like to start their own business, their own
Hmm.
startup? What is your advice for them?
um don't give up. I think that's there will be there will be many obstacles on your path, I guess. um but you cannot give up. You cannot give up. I think that's the main advice I can give.
That was beautiful, short, and meaningful advice. So, thank you for being here, Adrian Podgórny, CEO of Green Sequest startup. Thank you for being here, and here is a time for you if you want to add anything.
If I want to add anything, yes, well, I think, yes, people, and if there are companies, if there are, I don't know, managers in the companies watching this episode, yeah, I want to say that there are many problems that can be solved with companies like ours, and yeah, and the climate change can be, this problem can be tackled, and there are many companies that are trying to do it. So type carbon dioxide removal in your Google, and see what's going on, and it's very, very interesting what's happening out there.
Thank you very much for being here, Adrian Podgórny, COO of Green Sequest startup. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.